Nobody does it like friends. Desserts, soups, and of course, meat. You name it. Somehow, French chefs manage to turn expensive and cheap ingredients alike into something that we can call a work of art. And that, monsieur and mademoiselle, is what we call the iconic magic of French cuisine. Welcome to Foodie Legends, your go-to source for the best foods to eat around the world and their history. Today, we are gonna dive into France's top 5 immediate dishes that can surely get you cooking.
Let's go!
What is the best food to pair with meat? It's none other than the potato. The potato is one of the greatest root crops in the world, and its abundance and lack thereof dictated the rise and fall of most civilizations in history. Get a thick steak and pair it with some taters, and that's a perfect meal.
Woo! Yeah!
The French knew this and turned it into a craft. Coming in at number 1 on our list is none other than the steak frites, translated simply as steak and fries.
マジで
Considered to be a classic favorite in European bistros, steak fries is a staple both in French and Belgian cuisine. As implied by the name, steak frites are made of, well, steak and fries. The steak is the star of the dish, and you can basically use any cut of the meat. Rump steak was the main cut used for this dish, although a lot of chefs and cooks today prefer the use of ribeye, T-bone, or sirloin cuts. This steak is cooked in the classic way, generously seasoned with salt and pepper, seared in a hot pan with some oil, butter, garlic, and a handful of herbs. The potatoes are hand-sliced to wedges and fried until crispy on the outside but soft in the inside. What completes steak frites is a healthy serving of a gravy or sauce, usually a mayonnaise or hollandaise sauce, made with egg yolk emulsified with some acid. Coming in second on our list is one of the most intimidating but also one of the most iconic dishes in French cuisine, the beef bourguignon. Popularized by the iconic cooking personality Julia Child, beef bourguignon earned the unofficial spot as the face of all French meat dishes. It also embodies the classic traits of French cooking techniques as well. Although beef bourguignon is considered to be one of traditional French dishes, this beef stew is actually not that ancient. Its first documented records date back to 1867, although recipes with the same characteristics already appeared somewhere in the mid-19th century. Unfortunately, the first years of the beef bourguignon were not so fancy. It earned a terrible reputation because the first recipes of this dish used leftover cooked meat.
What?
Over the years, however, beef bourguignon became the standard of classical French cooking, and as Julia Child would declare, beef bourguignon is certainly one of the most delicious beef dishes concocted by man. This French beef stew is quite complex and laborious, requiring patience and skill. The beef cuts are braised in red burgundy wine together with onions, garlic, carrots, pearl onions, and a bundle of herbs called bouquet garni. The beef will be simmered until tender and the wine reduced into a luscious sauce. Once cooked, it will then be garnished with some pearl onions, mushrooms, and bacon. Beef bourguignon is usually served with boiled potatoes or pasta. What a hearty meal! And that is a perfect dinner! Do you like your meat heavily flavored with pepper? Our next pick might just be the right one for you. Coming in third on our list is none other than the steak Au Poivre. Its name is pretty straightforward, which literally means peppered steak.
Without peppercorns, it's not steak au poivre.
There are many stories trying to explain the origin of this dish. According to the popular steak specialist Francis Marie, steak au poivre was born in the bistros of Normandy in the 19th century. where men and women had their late night dinners of steak with peppers because they believe that pepper has some aphrodisiac qualities.
Nani?
On the other hand, Emile Lurk, the owner of restaurant Albert and Champs LLC, claimed that he is the creator of the dish, inventing it in the 1930s. Whatever its origin may be, steak au poivre became one of the most favorite French meat dishes, crossing the Atlantic to become a favorite in America as well. Steak au poivre is made typically with the filet mignon, a highly prized cut of the beef. It is then crusted on a bed of crushed black pepper, fried in a hot skillet with butter and oil. The heat will turn the cracked peppercorns into a nice seared crust, and the cooked steak will be set aside to rest. On that same pan, a special pepper sauce is made with reduced cognac, heavy cream, and the scraped frond left from the bottom of the fond, butter, shallots, and Dijon mustard. The creamy pepper sauce is then poured over the rested steak, complemented with mashed potatoes and some nice salad. Absolute perfection. Our journey with steaks is not quite over yet. Coming in number 4 on our list is none other than the Châteaubriand, a French meat dish that is not only hard to pronounce, but also an extremely delicious trip to the meat world as well. Just like most classic dishes, the origin of the name of this steak dish is widely contested. Most iconic dishes are usually named after the chefs who created it, or maybe in honor of someone or a place. The same case can be said for the Châteaubriand. It is said that the steak got its name after its chef creator, a man named Montmirail, named it in honor of the French ambassador to England, François-René de Châteaubriand. Some sources state that it was instead named after the town of Châteaubriand in Loire Atlantic, France, where the cattle used for the dish are bred. Supposedly, the name was only applied to the meat's cooking technique, but later on, the technique used in the actual dish became synonymous with each other. Châteaubriand is made with a large cut of beef tenderloin, tied with strings and seared on all 4 sides by broiling. It is then served whole, sliced for individual portions, and glazed with a special white wine reduction flavored with shallots and herbs, and paired with potatoes. Ain't that lovely?
It was perfect. Perfect.
To conclude our list, let's go with a non-steak option this time and go with something foul. Pun intended. Coming in number 5 on our list is none other than the Confit De Canard, otherwise known as duck confit. Confit de Canard is a very traditional dish, common in the province of Gascony in France. In Gascony, all parts of the duck are not wasted, each part destined to be some dish one way or another. The neck and bones are used for soup. Some parts are stewed, braised, fried, and of course, turned into a confit. Cooking the meat in its own fat is a traditional way of preserving it in a time when refrigerators were not invented yet. With the passing of time, Confit de Canard became a highly refined dish in French gastronomy. First, the meat is rubbed with salt, garlic, thyme, and other herbs. It is then covered and refrigerated for at least 36 hours. Once the meat finishes the salt curing process, the spices are rinsed off the meat and patted dry. The duck meat is then placed in a cooking dish, poached slowly in the oven so that the fat will render and cook the duck meat. The cooking process may take 10 to 12 hours, but the result is worth waiting for. The meat is taken out of the oven together with the rendered fat. You can then place the meat in a jar, then the fat is poured over the meat for future use. But you can also fry the duck legs with a bit of its fat in a pan, using the same pan where you can saute your potatoes and garlic as a delicious side dish. Confit de Canard is very economical and very delicious. Thanks again for tuning in with us here today at Foodie Legends for our latest episode. I hope you enjoyed this video and got a nice taste into the meaty delights that France has to offer. Before you go, be sure to like this video and click the subscribe button for more delicious content every week. We'd love to hear your thoughts too, so leave a comment below to let us know what your favorite part of the video was, or if you want to just leave us with a few thoughts. You guys are awesome. Thanks again for watching. See you in the next one.